my daughter was ill. It took doctors a total of a year and a half to figure out what was wrong with her because we could not, for the life of us, figure out what was wrong with her.
Mm.
And couldn't find out she had a neuroblastoma.
Mm.
It was right on the central nervous system. And at that time, yeah, she got worse. My pops was taking care of her back here in Arizona. At the time, I was going through basic and AIT and jump school and ranger school, right? And my first duty station was Fort Bragg. And I was maybe with my unit 3 weeks. And we ended up getting sent to Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Mm.
And while there, my daughter passed.
Mm.
I did not find out until a week after. You Red Cross, all that.
Yeah.
It takes time. But by that time, my daughter was already laid to rest by my pops. I had already left behind, that game plan should something happen. And the moment that I got that news from the chaplain, I can say I lost my stuff. I lost my overload mind.
Unfinished business, mission calls, step by step.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. Before he was a soldier, he belonged to a people. Before he wore a uniform, earned his wings, attended Ranger School, or deployed to war, he carried a name, a lineage, and a story that began long before he was born. Most of us are taught to answer a simple question the same way. What do you do? What have you accomplished? What have you achieved? Gabriel Joseph answered a different question. Who do you belong to? The United States Army gave Gabriel a language for discipline, danger, and duty. Life after war asked him to learn another language entirely, one of peace, sobriety, memory, and responsibility. Gabriel's story lives in that space. It is a story about service, but not merely military service. It's a story about recovery, but not merely recovery from addiction or trauma. It's a story about belonging, about responsibility, about memory, about what remains when titles, accomplishments, and expectations are stripped away. And perhaps most importantly, it is a story about a man who chose to turn his own search for peace into a mission of helping other veterans find theirs. My name is Rush, and this is my conversation with Gabriel Joseph, co-founder of Recovery Ranger Corps.
Yeah.
Gabriel, brother, my man. As I was reading, I always ask this question. I lead with all the time. When I read this cold opening out loud, what thoughts and feelings went through your mind?
As we talked, thank you again for having me, and I really appreciate it. I was like, dang, that has been a long trek. It's been a long walk to get here.
Yeah.
In a lot of that, it's very true. As far as what goes is who I was beforehand. And, with those of us who struggle with addiction, whether it be drugs or alcoholism, right? That's one of the first things that we forget is that it's been a long time since we've seen that person.
Yeah.
Right. So in that sense, allow me to introduce myself traditionally, culturally. Say Gabriel Joseph Yinche. On in the slingo, but on a bus chin said not better a dust chain, not says to nanny dash another. What that is Navajo language. It's the same language used in World War II by the Navajo Code Talkers and the U.S. Marine Corps. We are amongst Navajo and Navajo culture. How the clan system works is that the belief is we have 4 clans: mother, father, and then your grandparents, 1 from each side, your mother's and then your father's. Right. So it would be your mom's mom and then your dad's dad. I was the last two clans. So what I said was, greetings, hello. My name is Gabriel Joseph. I am the one who walks around one people clan, born for the folded arms people. My maternal grandparents are the Sleeping Rock people, and my paternal grandparents are the Zuni people.
Hmm.
Amongst my Zuni people, it would be hard to translate, or it's I'm of the Mudhead Kiva, and I am child of Eagle.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
that's who I am.
That's amazing, man. It's so much depth, and as you were speaking your native tongue, it just was like, oh my God, this is happening right now on your podcast, man. Like this is so dope, man. It's so cool because it's a level of authenticity that we don't normally see. We get to the roots of who we are. We talk about, before this podcast, we were learning a lot about ourselves, each other,
Mhm.
and as you're speaking, like you said, the same language they spoke, in which war was it?
World War II.
World War II, like we're ancestral beings are in this room right now, man. That's amazing. What does that reveal about how you see yourself?
Going back again, this is all tying in. This is awesome, boy. I'm seeing it in my head, and I can kind of see it. One half here, one half there, a little piece there, right? Goes back to the original question, or the cold opening. Like, what do you see in yourself, or what did that kind of drag up? Growing up as a kid, one of the first things that our elders tell us, right, is that in order to be recognized by God, by a higher power, and to our other deities that we have, right, to the land, to the sky, even to the sun, right, is that you introduce yourself in these ways, so that way it connects you back to where you came from.
Mm.
Right, because all of this is universal, is what they explain. So knowing your clans, knowing the just basic deal of just who your mother and father is, right, that roots you, that puts you back into who you are going to be as you grow.
Hmm.
And the second aspect to that, of what our elders would always tell us in that, is that with that, you'll never stop growing.
Mm.
I was like, well, that's not how that works, Grandma.
Yeah, that's amazing. What has your Navajo and Zuni heritage taught you? What has it heritage taught you that you think modern America has forgotten?
Who we are.
Hmm.
Who we are. We talk about the way our warriors are treated. We talk about how war has affected us. We also talk about the low lows for our veterans and our fellow warriors, right? Even just in that term in itself, Americans use that term, I feel. It's more of the the civilian aspect of society. Oh, that guy's a warrior. Oh, that guy's, what I mean? And even with that, I had to remind myself what a warrior was. I had to be reminded what a warrior was.
Hmm.
And that name, that feeling, even that title, I think America forgets its roots, is because we as American Indians, those of indigenous bloodlines, right, and we believe as American Indians that from North America, very tip of the Arctic Circle, going all the way down to the other end of the Arctic Circle, South America, we're all related.
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And with that, we all share almost similarity in customs, in culture, in traditions. Um, and when those of us who have lineage the way that, as do I, um, we've been fighting for the freedom of this country, for this land, long before,
Yeah.
right? And which is pretty funny because on June 2nd, a couple of days ago, uh, in 1926, 1927, we were finally, as American Indians, identified as citizens of this country.
Wow.
Yeah, we helped.
Jeez.
We fought in the Revolutionary War, right? All the Eastern Band Indians. Granted, we chose the wrong side.
Yeah.
We majority fought for the British. But then comes the Civil War. You had native tribes who were split. Some fought for the Confederacy. Some fought for the Northern, right, for the Union. And right after that, you go, and we're still not recognized as citizens about this time, right?
Wow.
World War One breaks off. Again, we go. The first natives to use their language in combat, but were not recognized until recently. In World War One were the Choctaw. The same nations who ran up and down these very same prairies from Texas, Mexico border all the way up to Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska area, right?
Yeah.
And then World War II, the Navajo Code Talkers using the language. And mind you, again, what America forgets is those roots. The same government that asked for us to enlist, not even asked, some of us said, this is my land, I'm going to go to war. I'm going to fight for it. Many may not know this, but I am the descendant of 5 code talkers.
Wow.
One of the original, 28, 29, and then his brothers, my other grandpas, decided, literally, they told us, we decided that he wanted to get all the glory. He wasn't going to go have all the fun. So we went.
That's right.
And so when the U.S. Marine Corps found out that they were Navajo and who their older brother was, they're like, oh, hey, can you guys speak the same language? They're like, yeah. And they're like, well, guess what? You don't learn how to code talk. So in that sense, is roots.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget where you came from.
Yeah. I want to hold on 1 second. I want to get this coffee for you. It's bothering me. I want you to have it. Here, I want you to feel comfortable. Sorry. Here, we'll go on with you. We'll keep it moving. But I just wanted you to have coffee with you. It's important that my guests, they walk in with coffee. Don't make it sit there and get cold. I was like, I can't do that to this guy, man. I want you to feel comfortable if you can. If you want to hold it, you can. It don't matter. Yes, sir. Looking back, what part of your identity had to be discovered, rediscovered?
My clans.
Yeah.
Many do not know this, although I do share it openly with men of our program, many people who do get close to me, but it's nothing that I don't shy away from.
Yeah.
And that is incarceration. Right. I was medically honorably discharged from Iraq in May of 2003. In 1 week's time, I encountered my first ID where I lost guys. And several days later, in clearing a building, I was shot in the back. My vest fortunately saved me. If you remember back when with the SAPI plates we had.
Okay. Yeah.
And at that point in time, there was, how do you say, a lack of equipment. So you had to choose which
one?
where your SAPI plate was going to be.
What side? Yeah.
So I threw it in the back that day. Sure enough, got hit. Well, this is not even to include the injuries that I had a year prior in Afghanistan, right? But my unit saw fit that, dude, you're done. You're going
Yeah.
home. So I came home, stateside. I ended up a civilian for 2 weeks
Hmm.
and ended up catching a federal case involving weapons.
Hmm.
People wonder, why did you end up in federal prison, not state prison? It happened on an Indian reservation. And Indian reservations treated a lot like a military installation
Hmm.
when it comes to laws, right? If it's a violent crime, you're going feds automatically,
Hmm.
right? So, fast forward, there's some other things that happened in between my initial arrest and a year later to when I'm sentenced. It involves me going on the run from the feds for about a month and a half.
Hmm.
But anyways, during that time, and once I voluntarily surrendered back to the U.S. Marshals in Albuquerque. And during that time, let's go back real quick. For that 2 weeks I was home, I was not sober 1 single minute.
Hmm.
Now, not one single when I committed my crime. I was drunk as all get out.
Hmm.
When I was out on the run, I stayed intoxicated the entire time. As a matter of fact, when I turned myself into the U.S. Marshals, I was intoxicated.
Hmm.
But I remember specifically once the Marshals put me in a cell, and the U.S. Marshal who put me in the cell had told me, he says, you know what? I'm really, I just want you to know this. I respect you because you turned yourself in.
Hmm.
Because it could go a whole lot more different than this.
Yeah.
I said, I understand. And that evening, as they were bringing evening chow in through the cells, I told myself, this has got to stop. This has got to stop.
Yeah.
And throughout the evening, I was just in my head, I'm still pretty intoxicated, but at the same time, an enlightenment happened where I literally felt sober for like maybe a few minutes. And it was like a plan just appeared in my head. Ask Creator for forgiveness. Put down your arms against him
Hmm.
or her, right? And just sit down and shut the hell up. And that's what I did.
Hmm.
By that next, I did not sleep a single week that night. By the next morning, I literally had my conversation with man upstairs, which I hadn't had in a very, very long time
Yeah.
for myself. And I said, whatever it is that you want me to do, I'll do. This is what I would like out of all of this. I would like to leave out of here sober. I would like to go back and reconnect to who I was
Hmm.
before I left.
Hmm.
And I want to learn about who I am now again, right?
Yeah.
Because again, and you're my introduction as far as introduce myself culture. It starts off with, after you say greetings, hello, I am, and then you go into who your mother's clan is.
Yeah.
That's a definitive stamp.
Hmm.
That is,
Yeah. Yeah.
do not return.
Yeah. That's insane, man. That's poetic because we know where we're at in the present moment, right? And for you to share that right now, it's just like, dude, like you said, you want to return to who you were, like who you were before all this. And then I think right now you're like in that exact place, you know what I mean? And that's beautiful, man. Was there a moment when you realized surviving something and understanding it were two different things?
Yes. Yes, indeed. One of the things that I got back into and that I still carry today, and matter of fact, I use with fellow veterans that I meet at Dallas VA. The traditional cultural sweat lodge.
Mm.
Yeah. That clarity came to me in prison, just on the federal side, where I was at. We could only sweat once a week, right? Whereas back at home on the outside, you could sweat whenever you want, as many days as you want, right?
Yeah.
But it happened to me in that sweat lodge.
And what came out of it? Like what?
So I'm sitting there, and mind you, I'm sitting there next to other Native brothers who are also doing time with me, and one of them is a vet from the Panama Invasion,
Mm.
right? He was in the Corps, and he's an old gunnery sergeant.
Yeah.
And looking at him, you never would have guessed. You never would have guessed. And I just remember at one point I was praying, and recollection hit my memory, and it lit up so bright that I could not ignore it, and I just broke down. I'm talking. This is at that point in time. I want to say it probably been close to about since 8 years, solid years. I had actually cried.
Wow.
You know, and I'm sitting there wondering, and it's funny. It's like the Grinch movie with Jim Carrey,
Mm.
and he was all like, "Oh, what's this? Oh, I'm winking," you know. That's exactly how I felt. And this elder turns to me and he says, "Little brother, that's okay. You're home.
Mm.
You're
Yeah.
home. This home."
Wow.
And he, as well as this hot rocks that are heated outside and brought in, and it's just right there. It's just kicking off all this heat. And he tells me, he says, "There's things that we live by, and there are things that we live with."
Mm.
He says, "I know what the hurt and pain is. I've seen it, and I've heard it."
Yeah.
He says, "It's okay to give it to your elders right there." And I did.
Mm.
And afterwards, I talked to him about it. We had gone to a chow, and I asked him then. I said, "How'd you know what I was?" He says, "Panama." I was like, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, USMC."
Mm.
One of the things you don't go run around doing is go check out dudes with tattoos or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
turn their hand and pulled up his shirt and had big old USMC down the side. And I never even saw it.
Yeah.
And he went in there shirtless.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Well, thank you."
Yeah.
And he said, he says, "Remember this, because there are going to be others like you.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Now you pass it on."
Yeah.
And that's what got me to understanding there is a difference between surviving and living.
Yeah.
That's what I took that question.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's so true, man. And there are a lot of us, behind the walls, so to speak, it says it makes up of, I think it's like 10%, 8%, but 8 to 10%. They don't even have a real count of how many veterans are incarcerated right now.
Mhm.
And that's a real thing. If you think about guys like myself, a little bit of my story now, where you're getting treated for the symptom, but you're not actually getting treated for the root cause. You're not doing the screening. And probably needs to be before someone has to go through a whole the system. Yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah. You've said you've eventually made peace with yourself and with what combat had done. What does peace mean to you today?
In Lakota, there is a phrase we use. Onchekia chekia yellow. It means that I am one standing upon here. Give me your prayers. When I first heard that phrase, I'd only heard it once before in my entire life, and it was when I was like about 6 or 7 years old. Some relatives of mine in South Dakota. And this was the second time in my life that I heard it again. And at this point in time, I'm years into sobriety, years into incarceration, years into unraveling what's in my head, right? And I asked the Lakota elder, I know the words. It goes back to the previous question, knowing and understanding.
Yeah.
But I would like to understand that specific, why is that? Why does it exist? And he says, well, it's pretty simple. So what do you mean? And he says, I am one standing here, right? You give me your prayers. If you just stand there with nothing to do, what are you doing? But what can you be doing instead for the people, not just for yourself? Right?
Yeah.
Because you're already here in the present. So if you still want to be of service, he says, this is what our Lakota warriors did ages ago, right? Whenever they weren't protecting the village, whenever they weren't out fighting, war partying, hunting, whatever the case, right? They spent the majority of their time in silence. In order to receive or to ask for prayers from someone, or for someone for that matter, one of the biggest obstacles that human beings forget to do in that process is remain silent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He said, in that sense, when you do that, and because you are here, you're able to receive these gifts. It's a gift for someone to come up to you and say, hey, my loved one is hurting. I would like to pray for them. Right?
Yeah.
And who best to weather that burden than our veterans?
Yeah.
Than our soldiers, our service members, because they understand that burden.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially for combat veterans.
Yeah.
Right? Because given that prayer from one person to that veteran lets them know that they're still wanted and needed in this society.
Yeah. That's pretty,
Yeah.
that's amazing, man. What did recovery force you to be honest about?
Me and only me. Majority of the time, I'm not a person, you go on my socials, right? I'm signed up on every single social there is. And so is our organization, RRC. Yeah. But we don't ever post, I don't ever post anything. And it's not, I don't trust the system or whatever the case, right? I'm just that kind of person. It's private.
Yeah.
But in that sense, we have learned in recovery that it is the only one and only time it is okay and acceptable to put me first and talk about I,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Because if it were not for me, I or myself, I wouldn't have gotten into half the crap that I got into, good or bad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so with recovery, that is always the first thing that I try to put first,
Yeah.
right? And in dealing with others, helping them with recovery, I'll let them know that.
Yeah.
You know, you can sit there and you can talk to an individual about why they're coming to the program, what interested in the program. And majority of the time, you're going to get someone, majority of our guys who want to get into the program will say, oh, you know, my wife said, my mama said, my dad said.
Yeah.
But what is it that you say?
Yeah.
I don't care about what they said.
Yeah.
They already know you're screwed up. They
Yeah.
already know that you need help. But do you know that you need help?
Yeah.
Talk about you and, oh man, I, I don't really care. You know what I mean? It's like, see, that's your problem.
Yeah.
You're not a leader. You're a follower.
Yeah.
Because if you were leading, you would say, I realize that I'm sick. I realize that I'm hurting people. I realize that I'm stealing to support my habit. I'm lying to people to get what I want, where I want,
Mm.
and who I want. You know?
Yeah.
Your mom ain't making you do that. Your daddy ain't making you do that.
Yeah.
And your wife
Yeah.
ain't making you do that.
Yeah.
Instead, they're begging for your life.
Yeah.
You over here just, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, recovery has definitely gotten to allow me to see me for who I am. Good, bad, ugly, doubtful, shameful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But most importantly, recovery has taught me not to dwell on all that
Yeah.
negativity.
Yeah.
But instead is, yeah, I've been shameless in my life. I've been shameless up to the other day. I forgot to tip my barista at the Starbucks. You know, no idea.
Yeah.
But what can I do about it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's so true too, because like it does start off with me, like I gotta have self-love if I'm gonna love somebody. I gotta have self-care and personal agency, and I have to be able to have the things I need to have. You gotta have the tools in the toolbox if you're gonna build a house, right? You know what I mean? You're gonna build a frame. What are you gonna do with, right? You gotta have things that are. And what about the foundation you're gonna set, right?
Mhm.
Do you know how to do that? Do you know how to care?
Mhm.
You got to know how, right? And you have to know, well, how and why. Why do you? And your why has to start with you. You agree with that?
Oh yes, and indeed, and one of the reasons why every aspect of our organization, who I am, is done thoughtfully with process,
Yeah.
with full meaning behind it,
Yeah.
right?
Let's talk about your organization. Let's
So
go into that.
it's Recovery Ranger Corps, right? And we wanted to put the recovery first in the name
Mm-hmm.
because you need to recover who you were. If you do not know who you were before you got caught up in all the negativity of life, right?
Yeah.
Just said F it and pushed it to every single bit that you possibly could until you're right there in front of me,
Yeah.
right? We got to go back and understand where that's at and recover that person
Mm.
because that person had morals. That person had value.
Yeah.
They had values, I should say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They had a creed to live by. They had something going right in their life, but whatever it was, person, people, or places that trick them in their mind to include the devil. Right?
Yeah.
Devil's always there in the background.
Mm-hmm.
That made you go so far off course that you were willing to harm not only yourself, your family, your friends, complete strangers,
Yeah.
you know, most importantly, the most innocent of all people, our children,
Yeah. 100%.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's why we put recovery first in the name.
Yeah.
Um, I've had people ask me, well, why not put the Ranger Recovery? Because you're a Ranger.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I'm going to always come second in this organization and its co-founder,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I said, mainly because this was not my original idea. This is an idea I got from a fellow veteran who is our founder.
Yeah.
And he's a Vietnam vet, and he's gone through the same crap
Yeah.
when I went.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about unfairness as a veteran.
Yeah.
Those guys from Vietnam.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
I was raised by one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and I said, you know, I've had fellow Rangers ask me, do you think it's wise to put our Ranger title in the name of something that's going to, you know, for substance abuse, alcoholism treatment?
Yeah.
So why not? I said, how? That's where my drinking got worse.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Come on.
Oh.
But I told him, I said, most importantly, it's this. What does that tab stand for? Where does the word Ranger mean in the military community? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Our reputation has been so deep-seated, rooted in that we are experts, if you will, in warfare.
Yeah.
Right? You need something gone, send a Ranger. You need something completely, utterly destroyed, send a Ranger. Right? And so, what if we use the exact same techniques and tactics as Rangers in sobriety and recovery?
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the first things that we learn in Ranger school is the Ranger Creed. That sets your momentum. That sets what's expected. That sets the standard, if you will, right? So with our organization, there will always be a standard to be kept. There will always be a standard to be met, and there will always be a standard to be set.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? No more is it just, you know, I've always explained to other branches what an Army Ranger is. We're the Marine Corps of the U.S. Army.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you get deployed. Sometimes you're standing next to a Marine, right?
Like,
Yeah.
well, and that happened to us,
Yeah.
you know. But and the core of everything, right? CORPS. I took that from researching and defining where the U.S. Marine Corps got their core from.
Mm.
And I looked up the actual definition of it, and it fit.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of people who come together for the same cause. And I said, that cause is sobriety and recovery.
Yeah.
And it loops right back to itself,
Yeah.
you know? And so that's what in itself, and I always remind people in reading not only about our organization, but knowing every single aspect of what we have tied to RRC is indeed, it's been thought processed out.
Mm. Right.
Every single part has a meaning, and you, by God, you will earn every aspect of that title.
Wow.
You know?
That's cool. We'll talk more about where they can get a hold of you in a few minutes. Let's see here. What belief about life has changed the most since you were a young man?
Man, I've sat on that one for a long time.
Mm.
Let me first start by going back just a little bit more real quick on that question.
Yeah.
I think when I think about my time of service, and then when I tell people about my time of service, people will often ask, was it worth it? Would you go back and do it again? And thank you for not going there.
Yeah.
Because those are the same routine questions.
Yeah.
And this is deeper. And what brings me to this is that not many people knowing outside of this, you're the first actually, apart from my family. I was a single teen father when I enlisted into the service.
Wow.
And my daughter was ill. It took doctors a total of a year and a half to figure out what was wrong with her, because we could not, for the life of us, figure out what was wrong with her. And couldn't find out she had a neuroblastoma. It was right on the central nervous system. And at that time, as she got worse, my pops was taking care of her back here in Arizona. At the time, I was going through basic and AIT and jump school and ranger school, right? And my first duty station was Fort Bragg. And I was maybe with my unit 3 weeks. And we ended up getting sent to Bosnia and Herzegovina. And while there, my daughter passed. I did not find out until a week after. You Red Cross, all that.
Yeah.
It takes time. But by that time, my daughter was already laid to rest by my pops. I had already left behind, that game plan should something happen. And the moment that I got that news from the chaplain, I can say I lost my stuff. I lost my ever-loving mind. Now, a couple of years before that, I had lost her mom in a car accident.
Oh.
That's why I was
man.
a single parent.
Wow.
And so, what I did for a living and what I was learning how to do for a living, was the Army loved me for it. And I just went with it because I was so full of anger, hatred. That's when I personally quit dealing with man upstairs, with Creator.
Yeah.
I abandoned all of that and just committed myself to the Army, to my job, to my guys, to my command. I just literally said, here I am. Do with me what you wish. You say that, it's done. You want me to go there? No problem. I had no ties to nothing or no one. That's how far off the deep end I went.
Yeah.
Right? And so we come back to the question of what it is that I see in life now that I learned from a young man. The difference in back then, anguish and despair. What I have learned now since that time, it's a little bit of hurt for a little bit of time for the greater good. That's what I've come to. And that's what makes me peaceful with not only my past, but my present. But at the same time, I personally take it as a duty that was bestowed upon me, leaving the razor and fence, leaving incarceration.
Yeah.
I had a native brother ask me on the way out of the gates. He says, "Can I make a request of you?" Sure. You've done a lot for our country, I can tell. It's pretty messed up that they put you in here.
Yeah.
But, you know, will you promise to take care of 5 things for us? So what's that? Always look out for our children, our infants, our babies. Always look out for our young kids, the little ones that are in elementary school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And look out for our young adults, especially our young adults, because many of them are completing suicide, right? Always look out for our women, all of our women, right? And always look out for our elders and your fellow brothers and sisters,
Mm.
our veterans. Will you do that? So absolutely.
Yeah.
So all that little bit of time, all that little bit of pain has been for the greater good. That's what I've come to learn.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can either waller and live in that anguish and despair,
Yeah.
woe is me,
Yeah.
or you can pick yourself up. Don't even bother dusting yourself off, because you're gonna fall a few more times,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're gonna bump your head a few more times, but that's all right. That's okay.
Yeah.
Just don't stay there on the ground and get too comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Get up.
Yeah.
Get up.
That's amazing, man. You know, a little bit of hurt, a little bit of, what'd you say? A little bit of,
It's a little bit of hurt, a little bit of pain for the greater good.
yeah, a little bit of hurt, a little bit of pain for the greater good, right?
Mm.
I like that. That's measured, right? That's measured, and self-care as a statement. It's like some of it's self-care, right?
Mm.
You have to incrementally take these steps, right? Yeah, this just takes, absorb, don't overabsorb, don't take on more than your spirit allows you, right? Or your soul can handle, But guys like you and me and a lot of other people, right? We can take on a lot of shit, right?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
doesn't mean that we should.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. What have you learned about the difference between pain that diminishes a person and pain that deepens them? Like, I guess that's what we're talking about right now. Yeah.
It's kind of like,
Yeah.
that it actually kind of ties right back in.
Yeah.
Which is a great topic, because pain that diminishes you is what I think you and I we've definitely experienced it.
Yeah.
There is not a combat veteran alive that I personally do not think would not understand that,
Yeah.
right? Because again, it goes back to the knowing and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
You have diminishing and you have deepening, right? 2 different words. Let's pick on the Air Force right now. You ask an Air Force guy, what is the difference between pain diminishing or pain deepening? I would guarantee you they would probably tell you it's when the AC gets cut off.
Mm.
Right? They're like, but you ask guys like yourself and me, throwing a jarhead in there, throwing a Marine, and we're gonna sit there and say, well, it's either gonna be a hot MRE or a cold MRE. Just depends.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the combat environment like? I tell guys in program that that little bit of pain is your guideline.
Mm.
You have pain that is emotional, you have pain that is mental, you have pain that is physical, and you have pain that is spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
When you have all 4 of those up against the ropes, if you will, or down on the mat, and you're just feeding it with alcohol, with drugs, with sexy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When everything that comes out of your mouth going to someone else is nothing but degrading, negative talk,
Yeah.
right? You are diminishing that pain. You're helping that pain diminish you even further. It's not an outward thing, it's an inward thing. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Pain that deepens you is someone who's going to come up and not criticize you, but critique you.
Mm-hmm.
When I work with fellow vets and helping them understand sobriety and recovery, right, I always remind them that's how it works. The job is to get you sober. The mission overall is long-term recovery,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so what happens in between sobriety and recovery in itself is a whole list of stuff,
Yeah.
right? Now, that pain that deepens you, you're gonna learn your pain. You're gonna understand your pain. You're gonna talk about your pain, and most importantly, you're going to accept that pain.
Mm.
Because if you do not accept it, if you do not make peace with that pain, guess what's going to happen? You're going to keep diminishing yourself in your pain. And you're going to keep going back to saying, oh, well, that pain's the reason why I'm like this. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Pain is pain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you put it in that guideline, this lets you know how far to the left you can go of it, how far to the right of it you can go of it.
Yeah.
That's a lot like zeroing in your weapon.
Yeah.
You
100%.
can go too high up, you can go too far down, you can go,
Yeah.
that's how I explain it.
Yeah. That's a cool way to take it, absorb it, I think that is like really cool. I'm gonna go back and listen to that soundbite later on, make sure I got that locked in. I got a couple more questions. After everything you've experienced, what does patriotism look like to you today?
I would definitely have to say every third Sunday of every month, I meet with others who wish to walk 2.2 miles to raise awareness of veteran, law enforcement, first responder suicides out in Rockwall, Texas, on a bridge that, along with many other incredible individuals, we got renamed Heroes Memorial Bridge several years back.
Wow.
And at the same location, we have a one of its kind memorial in the entire country. Every name that is placed on the walls of this memorial are individually engraved, of course, but every name up there so far and every name that is going to be engraved in there soon are all from these three different communities who have all taken their own lives. My two brothers are up there. Our youngest brother, Josh, and our oldest brother, John. I lost them both in 2019 to veteran suicide. Josh was still active duty, and John had retired out earlier in January 2019 after 22 and a half years of service.
Yeah.
Multiple deployments, both Afghanistan and Iraq. Josh spent the whole year in 2018 deployed in Syria when stuff was really hot then. And that patriotism is every third Sunday when these folks, especially, huge shout out to the Young Men's Service League out of Heath Rockwall. and the Young Men's Service League, I want to say out of Lake Ray Hubbard. These kids come out every month. They've been fully involved in this walk, I would probably say, the past year and a half. There has not been a third Sunday that they have not missed. If they are not as a whole able to make it, they give me a heads up, and they will usually send a family member to come walk. So one way, that's still,
Yeah.
being part of it.
Yeah.
And so I say all that to say that it is our youth. I live right behind the high school, right?
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, a young girl who had enlisted, she was already enlisted, maps, everything, had her date set to leave for the Navy. And she unfortunately was killed in a hit and run. And for about 2 weeks, the person who did it was still on the run. They had no idea who had done it, but
Yeah.
that person eventually heard the police, saw the police on social media, and turned themselves in. And I could not help but think, a young lady, 18 years old at the time, committed herself to wanting to serve in the best Navy in the world, right? And she was looking, I'm still in contact with her family. I met her after her funeral and everything, after everything settled. I wanted to do an honor walk for her. And every year since, I still will do that honor walk for her. I get a Navy flag, put on the deal, get my gear, roll out, and do a good 3.8 mile walk for her.
Wow.
And to see that a lot of these youth are coming out on a third Sunday and are not only learning about the statistics of veteran suicide,
Yeah.
right, but also for veteran and law enforcement or first responders.
Yeah.
Because it's all tied together.
Yeah.
You have a lot of our brothers and sisters who are in those fields,
Yeah. Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And so getting these youth to come out and ask me, hey, excuse me, sir, do you mind if I carry your flag? There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand that patriotism in this day and age is getting questionable,
Yeah.
but I always remind people that flag and our patriotism has nothing to do with any negativity. What it represents is 3 colors, right? Stars and stripes. Because there is someone, whether you know it or not, that is connected to me, you, complete stranger, right?
Yeah.
That they came home under that flag. That's patriotism, to understand the roots
Yeah.
of America.
Yeah.
The reason, it is an awesome saying on a meme that I've read one time, the reason why the U.S. flag blows in the wind is because of the hearts and minds of the warriors that fought behind it.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
But at the same time, patriotism is also, for me, defined, again, my lineage.
Yeah.
My grandfather, one of my grandfathers, he would hold ceremony for individuals who were leaving for service way back then.
Yeah.
And he would always say this in ceremony, which was that and I never got the opportunity for him to say it to me. He had passed by the time I entered service. But he would tell them, this path that you have chosen to leave our homelands and go serve this United States, right? is a great honor because this is the only way we, as American Indians, as natives of this land, can continuously and traditionally protect this land
Yeah.
by serving the military.
Yeah.
You know, and when you do, and you go out there, and you're going to meet all these different people, remind them of who we are. Remind them that we're still here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's cool. If people want to get a hold of you, tell everybody how they can go to Recovery Ranger Court.
So to get a hold of us, jump on any search engine
Yeah.
and just punch in Recovery Ranger Corps.
Yeah.
We're the only organization that'll pop up.
Yeah.
all the other titles that you get something Ranger related.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's recoveryrangercorps.org.
Yeah.
And you can also on there on the website, and we're on all social medias. So you can either punch in Recovery Ranger Corps or for short RRC, and it should bring you up.
Okay. Very cool. Last question. It's a legacy question. When future generations of your family look back on your life, what do you hope they remember?
I think one of my youngest brothers already said it years ago, and we have a great relationship today. And he says it still hasn't changed. And I said, "What's that?" And he says, "Man, you're still the craziest thing I've heard." There's no one gonna be able to not outdo you in certain things.
Yeah.
Simply because, man, it was like, what the, you know. But as I have told him, and I told others in my family, one of the biggest things that I did coming out of incarceration, being gone away from extended family, right, is that I apologize to them for embarrassing them. Right.
Yeah.
Now, although they have done plenty enough to embarrass themselves,
Yeah.
but that wasn't my part. My part is what I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what it cost, right?
Yeah.
To also know, and I didn't find this out till years later, that the FBI, in looking for me, they had gone and busted down some of my family members' doors.
Oh, man. Damn.
You know, but most importantly, because of family lineage and because of just simple commonality, right? The only thing that I could think of at that point in time was apologize to them.
Yeah.
Because they did not deserve, they didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
You brought it to them. You know? And so in that, a lot of my family members have come back around and were like, we really appreciate you doing that. You know, we kind of see you in this different, not the crazy guy.
Yeah.
But the more of the, okay.
The inner self guy.
Yeah, it's like he's finally catching on. This is what we wanted from you all these.
Yeah. Habit self, inner self, right? Versus inner self, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I just would love to leave behind encouragement for anyone and everyone who wants it.
Yeah.
Encouragement to not only chase your dreams, but most importantly, to continue helping our warriors. I don't care background, I don't care discharge, I don't care color, I don't care creed, none of that.
Yeah.
Help them.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. I just got to tell you, I've watched you, we didn't know each other very well, yes, knew of each other probably, and, I've watched you walk miles and miles and miles and miles, or, hear stories about it. And, as we sit here today, I've learned that it takes a lot of strength to do that, and it takes a lot of strength to walk those miles that you do. And for me, I'm learning where that strength comes from. I've learned today where that strength came from and where it comes from now. And now when I look, now I understand. I have so much respect and admiration, even more so today, because I know um, where that's rooted. What roots it came from, and what what you want to grow out of those roots. And it's a beautiful, this was a beautiful opportunity for us to share time together today. And I want to thank you, man. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Adding, you've added so much to the conversation about uh, like incarcerated veterans and those that are behind the wall still trying to figure out. They don't know why they know what they did, but they don't know why they did it. And that is an important topic that needs to be discussed a little bit more. And man, I want to thank you, man. I want to thank you for being on the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you today, Joseph. Pleasure, brother. Gabriel. Yes. And guys, that's it for Unfinished Business, a podcast for veterans pursuing new life missions. As I always say, have peace and a light in you, and remember that the ocean refuses no river.